Hey, weirdos. Actually, I'm the weirdo. This is weird. This is super dystopian. Obviously, I'm not at Langston right now. Not right now or when you're watching it. I have a dumb meeting that's really boring that I'm sitting through while you watch this. So feel sorry for me. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go over what I want you guys to do for this project. All right? And if you have questions, you can message me on Remind. I'll have my phone so I can answer things. Okay, so you're going to split up into groups of 4 and 5 if necessary. There might be a few extra people. So 5 groups of 4 or 5, no more than 5. I'm going to let you pick your groups, but pick wisely, pick people you can work with, please. So this is going to be a summative grade, so keep that in mind. These need to be good. I'm going to give you today, obviously, to work on them, and then we'll probably need 1 extra day to work on them in class, but keep in mind also that you might have to do some stuff on your own. Okay? All right, so you're going to receive an excerpt from one of the novels that we talked about on the first day. I don't really care how you pick the novel. There are 5 options, obviously. So you can look them up and figure out which one you want to do as a group. However you want to decide is fine with me. So each group gets 1 of the 5 excerpts, and they vary a little. So some of them are a little bit longer, but that actually might be helpful to you. So don't shy away from a little bit more reading. It might actually be a good thing if you have more that I've given you, that I've provided you. The exception to that is Never Let Me Go. So I only pulled 1 excerpt from that book, and it's only I think it's just 1 page front and back. So for that one, if that's the book you end up with, that's my favorite. It's a really good one. It's really freaky and great. So if you end up with that one, there's a copy of the novel in the classroom on the bookshelf. I want you to find a second excerpt. So you're going to end up having to read just as much as everyone else. I do want you to find a second excerpt for that. Okay, so, and preferably if you do get that one and you have to find the second excerpt, do it after you've read the summary and kind of get a feel for what the book is about so you know where to look in the book, if that makes sense. Okay, so your project is going to involve a presentation, and then all these things that I ask you to do in the presentation, I'm going to want written in some way. So if you decide to do a PowerPoint, you can that will count as the writing, right? If there's writing on the PowerPoint. But if you don't do a PowerPoint, which you definitely don't have to, in fact, maybe shouldn't, then I'll want it just written out and typed, okay? So this is what it needs to include. I need background information about the author and the time period when the book was written, and then maybe the way the novel was received. Some of these were super controversial when they came out, so you can talk about that. I want at least 5 interesting points about the background stuff, okay? I want a synopsis of the novel and a description of the main characters. And I want you to present, when you do your presentation, I want those to be presented to the class in an interesting way. So I've given you some options for how you might do that, but you can come up with your own thing. Basically, I don't want you to just write a synopsis and read it dryly to the class. We don't want that. No one wants that. Okay. I also want you to read 1 or 2 particularly compelling sections from the excerpts. So it doesn't have to be more than a paragraph or 2. Pick the ones that pick a moment in the excerpt that you think really stands out and helps illuminate some of the points that you're going to be talking about, okay? And I want this reading to be good. Don't come in cold and just read from the paper. I want you to have practiced it. I want it to be good, okay? I also want you to do an analysis of some of the concepts that are addressed in the excerpt. And what I mean by that is I want you to think about how those concepts relate to current society. So I can, I can provide you with a little bit more guidance on that because each book has different things that I think would be interesting to touch on. So if you have questions about that, let me know on Remind and I will answer that. Okay, and then you also need a visual component, and this can be a picture, an illustration, a collage, a poster, anything that will catch the eye that you can show during your presentation. Okay, and then finally, you need to have an activity to engage your peers. So kind of like what we did with, I forgot, there was one other thing that we did this with where you had to come up with, I think it was with postmodernism. I can't remember, where you had to as a group come up with some sort of a game or an activity or something for everyone else to do in class. So that is the last part, okay? And I'm gonna grade on those 6 things, all right? You're also gonna be graded on clarity. So this means when you're presenting, everything needs to not be mumbled. It needs to be clear. It needs to sound like you've practiced, which means you need to practice. Also, I'll grade on time. So your presentation should last but somewhere around 10 to 12 minutes, okay? And I'm gonna look for participation. So I wanna know who did what. I want you to write that down for me so I know. And I want to, and everyone has to have contributed something, obviously. Okay, and then you guys are gonna peer review each other, and that will be the final component of my grading, okay? All right, so, and then you can read my keep in minds yourself, hopefully. And yeah, I think that's about it. So today, what I want you guys to do is just start jotting down, probably just read the thing, obviously, read the excerpt, and start jotting down ideas about what you're gonna do for each part. And it might also be a good idea to break up the work, decide who's gonna do what, including who's gonna present what, you know? Not just who's gonna do what work, but who's gonna present what. So you can go ahead and start working on that over the long weekend, which is, I know exactly what you wanna do. But yeah, I would recommend doing at least some work over the weekend. I know you have another assignment for me, but I would rather you come in on whatever day, Tuesday of next week with something to work with, because for sure Tuesday is going to be the only other day that am able to give you in class to work on this, okay? And we'll do presentations probably on Thursday. Yeah. Okay, sweet. Well, I miss you guys already, and just know that I'm super bored and I wish I were there. All right, toodles.